Julian Feder, a revolutionist. Julian Feder led a rebellion with 7,000 slaves against the British colonies or the British occupier of Grenada. Julian Feder was born on the island of Martinique of a black mother and a white French father. They basically immigrated to Grenada and they bought Belvedere Estate up in St. John's. This is where they lived for a long period of time. But in that period of time, when the British occupied Grenada, the British had this rule that whoever had lands could be able to vote, but they refused Julian Feder's vote. So in 1775 to 1776, for that 1 year, Julian Feder went around and out of the six parish, he kidnapped five white leaders from those parishes and took them up to his Belvedere estate, where he held them for as a bargaining tool, for example, for food, for ammunition, for free passages, or basically for renegotiation to basically replace the island back to the slaves and people who occupied it or people who had no rights. The English, the only place that he did not capture was St. George, the capital, but he could have take it if he wanted in that 1 year period that basically he controlled Grenada. The English called for reinforcement. Reinforcement came and they crushed Julian Feder's rebellion. The slaves that they captured, the live ones, they hanged them at the marketplace, and the rest they deported them to around the world to different colonies. Maurice Bishop was born in Aruba of Grenadian parentage. He grew up in Grenada. His parents sent him to England to study. When he returned back to Grenada, Grenada was being governed or being ruled by Sir Matthew Eric Gary. The British had put Sir Matthew Eric Gary to rule Grenada under a primaryship. He wasn't a prime minister, just a primaryship. And then, when Grenada was made independent in 1974, Sir Eric Gary became the first prime minister of Grenada. But he ruled Grenada under tyrantship. Basically, he just didn't really care about the poor people. He didn't put things in place. He didn't educate them or skill them. Because probably he thought that Grenada belongs to him. So, through all this suffering, Maurice Bishop and other people led a successful coup against the Grenadian government, which was the prime minister, which was Eric Gary, the prime minister at the time. So basically, Maurice ruled or was the prime minister. He wasn't the elected prime minister, but he was the prime minister of Grenada for 3 years, from 1979 to 1983. But because there was in-house fighting within the Grenadian government, they had Maurice killed. And because that sent a shockwave across the world, the American, under the leadership of Ronald Reagan, sent the army to invade Grenada. But there's 5 reasons why Reagan wanted to invade Grenada. 1, they had just lost 200 servicemen on American base in Lebanon. So Reagan really wanted to show the world that basically they're still a superpower. So Grenada was an easy target. Grenada was a nice target. So that's one. Two, they wanted to protect Trinidad because the Americans had heavily invested into Trinidad. Three, they wanted to protect the oil routes across the Caribbean Sea. Four, they wanted to protect Panama because they heavily invested into Panama and they wanted to protect the Panama Canal as well. They didn't want no other power, overtaking the Caribbean. And they didn't want the black people in that area having any idea that they could have power and they could rule their own land and their own country. I always thought that it's mostly poor people who are oppressed by their oppressors that pick up arms to free themselves. But I'm wrong. It's usually as the history shown, the people actually lead these revolutions are usually people who come from a really wealthy background with plenty of privilege. For example, Julien Fedon, he came from a land-owning family, good background, privileged background. Maurice Bishop, his family they're rich. They were able to send him to study in England, so most black people couldn't do that back in the day. So, what these people had in common, they would risk their life to give her the privilege to help the oppressed people, to bring back humanity, to bring back law and order, and to help us grow. Like President Trump right now, who basically was put into power in 2016. He wants to bring back sovereignty to the world, or to people who is oppressed, who have no money, no position, and have little privilege. So he wants to stop these people who's taking advantage, the minority who has the power, the privilege, and have position in society. He wants to make a balance. Because most of these people are robbing the wealth from the poor people. So you want to bring back sovereignty to the world's people. I think that's a good thing. That's a brilliant thing. So we wouldn't have to suffer. Well, thank you for watching my video. And hopefully if I successfully upload this video onto the internet, you probably will be able to watch it and probably make some comments about anything that I'm missing out or anything I said wrong. But informative videos are pretty good. They help educate everyone. Thank you very much.